Hi there, I'm Jen Hand, food coach for helping you end your struggle with food. And today we are diving into a topic that many women don't want to admit they do, sneaking food. And this can carry a lot of embarrassment, a lot of shame, a lot of, I don't want to admit that I do that. And I want to let you know before we dive into today's material is that this is normal. It happens on this journey. It is something that many women struggle with, and it was something I desperately struggled with. So if you feel like you're crazy, you feel like you're the only one doing it, I promise you, you're not. This is something that many of the women I work with struggle with and something we address head on. So I really struggled with sneaking food, especially when I was heavier, when I was binging a lot. I didn't want people to know what I was doing. I was very sneaky, trying to hide it, really trying to do it at night when people weren't around, or just not have people see me. And a lot of times it consumed my thoughts in the sense that I was at a party and I was trying to think about how I could sneak as much food as I wanted and how could I eat all of the cookies and without people noticing. And it kind of consumed my thoughts in a way that detracted from my life. And I want you to understand when you sneak food, or if this is something that you do occasionally on an ongoing basis, or whatever your pattern is that it typically happens when you're really unsatisfied with your body. So you don't think it's acceptable. You don't think it's okay to be eating what you're eating because you're at a weight that you don't want to be at. You're afraid of people judging you for not being on a diet because you have weight to lose. You're afraid of people seeing that you're carrying 50 extra pounds, 20 extra pounds, 100 extra pounds, and you're eating cookies or cakes or a piece of pie, and you're thinking that they're going to judge you. They're thinking that they're going to think, oh, she's overweight or she's heavy and she shouldn't be eating that. So it typically happens when we are really unsatisfied with ourselves in our bodies. And I'm going to give you a couple of things to try to help to start to let go of sneaking food. But this is a message. Like when you sneak food, you're sending a subconscious message to yourself that it's not okay. You're not okay. You have to be someone other than you are. You have to be doing something other than what you want to do. And who you are is innately unacceptable. And we might not think of something as sneaking food, something as trivial as that, as sending that big message to ourselves, but it does. Because what it tells us deep down is that we have to hide. We can't be seen. We can't show up as we are. So understand that this is a message we're telling ourselves, and we want to begin to address that message and start to allow ourselves to be where we are on this journey. So the three things I want to chat about today are things to try when you want to sneak food or you find yourself doing it weekly, daily, or a couple times a month. The first being that make eating an event. And I was working with this woman who jelly bellies were her weakness. And she had a couple kids and she felt like she was sneaking them. She'd go by, grab a handful, grab another handful, she felt like she was being really sneaky around it. And what we worked on was making it an event. So if you want 3 handful of jelly beans from the candy jar, take them out, put it in a bowl, put down a placemat, sit down and eat them and enjoy them and savor them and be in the experience. Because what this does is that when you're sneaking food, you're almost thinking that it's not counting. It's like you swipe the end of a cake and the icing doesn't count because I'm not really sitting down to have a piece. So it's we're not really counting what we're doing. We're kind of brushing it aside. We're kind of just eating and not really being present, taking in, being in the experience of what we're doing. So making eating an event, and this ties in the allowing piece too, the giving yourself permission. This is a huge piece of the sneaking food, telling yourselves we're not really allowed to have it. So making eating an event is bringing in that allowance, bringing in that permission of yes, even though I have 10, 20, 40, 50, however many pounds to lose, I am allowed to have these jelly bellies. I'm sitting down, I'm tasting them, I'm enjoying them, and I'm not hiding it from anyone. Because it's almost like we want to hide it from ourselves. We don't want to allow ourselves to have something when we think we should be eating lettuce wraps and grilled chicken all day because we're not quite at the weight where we want to be. So the second piece of this is allowing yourself to be seen. And this can be really scary. Brene Brown talks about vulnerability, and she's the author of the book Daring Greatly. And she has this concept of showing up and allowing yourself to be seen, because vulnerability is what connects us. Vulnerability is what bridges that gap to really have each of us relate to each other, to show up in this world as our authentic selves. And when we show up and when we allow ourselves to be seen, even if we're not quite accepting of ourselves, or we're not quite where we want to be, showing up and letting others see you starts to break down that wall of the acceptance and of our own barriers shattering to help us accept where we are and accept us as we are. So letting yourself be seen. If you are at a restaurant and you want to order pizza and you think you should be having a salad, order the pizza. If you want an appetizer and you're thinking your friends are judging you, show up and be seen. Have the appetizer, have the piece of cake, order the dessert and enjoy it, because it puts you out in that vulnerable sense, which can be very scary. It gets easier though, because what we want to do is show up in this world and eat what we want to eat without fear of others judging us, without fear of hiding or needing to hide. And so even the little things, like allowing someone to see us eat a piece of pizza, allowing someone to see us have a piece of cake, having a second piece of cake at a birthday party if we want it, it allows you on a bigger level to start to address the deeper areas where we don't want to be seen, or we're afraid to be seen, or we're afraid to show up and show the world that part of us. So food can be that doorway into the bigger things. And this is where we start. We start at the very basic levels of, this is what we're eating and this is how I'm eating. And I don't care what you think. These are my choices. I'm learning how to take care of myself, how to eat, how to get off the diet train and really be here to listen to my body. And that's no one else's business. It's no one else's area of concern, in the sense that they can have their opinion, but it doesn't matter, because you know your own body and you're relearning how to take care of yourself, how to eat, and how to be around food. This third piece of this is looking at what triggers you to sneak eat. To sneak eat, is that an actual phrase? To sneak food. So if it's when your husband gets in the shower and you're like, oh, no one's gonna see me, this is my time. Or if it's in your car after you drop your kids off from school, like, oh, now's my time to hit up Dunkin' Donuts and then Starbucks and then somewhere else to get a milkshake and to get a brownie and to kind of go through all these different drive-thrus to get stuff. Is it like, what is the trigger for you, so you can begin to address that trigger? So for me, a lot of times it was me thinking I had to be someone I was not. So what I mean by that is like making a decision where I felt like I had to just go along to get along, to conform, or I didn't want to rock the boat and I made a decision that wasn't true to myself, or I didn't quite express what I wanted to express. Like, I wasn't being me. That was a big trigger for me. I wasn't being true to what I wanted. I wasn't being true to myself. And a lot of times that was what would make me sneak food. And so it was kind of that show up and be seen thing, like learning how to express, learning how to stand up, learning not to be a people pleaser, learning to have boundaries with what I wanted and with people and relationships. So that was my trigger. So it could be anything. So look at where the trigger is for you, so you can begin to go deeper into that and address that real issue. So just to recap, make eating an event. Allow, sit down, give yourself permission, enjoy, savor, be in the experience. Second, show up and be seen. Let other people see you eat. Number one, this is actually not number one, 2A, I guess it would be. It helps people, it helps you see that people aren't judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself. And it makes you aware. It makes you more aware of what you're doing if you're in the open, in public, so to speak, eating. Because when we're by ourselves, it's like we can just do all these things and do it quickly and in the dark and no one will know. But when we're around people, we're forced in a gentle way to recognize our behaviors and to start to dig deeper into some of that. And then the third piece is begin to look at the triggers. So I'd love to hear from you if you're comfortable talking about it. I know this can be a really sensitive topic, and I kind of want to leave you with these parting words, is that there's no need for embarrassment or there's no need for shame around this, because it's sending you a message. When you sneak food, it just means that there's something deeper to look at. There's something else going on. And it's okay. This is part of that journey, showing up as we are, addressing the underlying issues. And I promise you, so many women struggle with this. So don't feel like you're alone. I've done it. The women I work with have done it. And if you're willing to share, if you're feeling brave and courageous, I'd love to hear from you and how you can begin to look at, take one of these steps, one of these suggestions, and how you can move forward and move deeper into that to begin to let go of sneaking food.